I wasn't trying to invade her privacy. Honestly, I was just trying to solve a small problem. My wife, Clara, had ordered a personalized necklace for our daughter's birthday. It was supposed to arrive 2 days ago, but the package never came. That morning, while she was in the shower, I decided to check her phone to see if there was a delivery update or tracking code. No suspicion, no jealousy. Just a husband trying to make sure a birthday gift arrived on time. Her phone didn't have a password. She trusted me completely, and I trusted her too. Until that moment. I opened her messages, scrolling through the usual chat groups and work notifications looking for something from a delivery service. Then I saw a thread labeled Evan, work project. I almost skipped past it. She had mentioned an Evan before. Her department had been collaborating with another branch on a new marketing campaign. But when I tapped it open, something felt off. The most recent message wasn't about deadlines or presentations. It said, "You made it hard to sleep last night. Still thinking about you." My finger froze above the screen. For a few seconds my mind went blank, like the world paused mid-breath. I scrolled up slowly, hoping I'd misunderstood. But there were pictures, little heart emojis, a string of inside jokes that didn't belong to coworkers, and then one message that hit like a quiet explosion. Same place next Friday? It was dated exactly 1 week ago. The same Friday Clara told me she had to stay late for client feedback. I felt something sink inside me, heavy and cold. Not anger, not even heartbreak yet. Just the weight of knowing that the person who shared my bed was living a secret life beside me. The sound of running water upstairs stopped. The pipes groaned softly, then silence. For a moment, I just stood there, the phone still in my hand, my reflection faintly visible in the dark screen. That silence felt like an entire conversation we hadn't had yet. I could have confronted her right then. I could have stormed upstairs, demanded answers, shattered everything in one breath. But instead, I placed the phone back exactly where it was and walked into the kitchen. The coffee on the counter had gone cold, but I took a sip anyway. It tasted bitter, and maybe that was fitting. When Clara walked down a few minutes later, wrapped in her towel and smiling like nothing had changed, I smiled back, just enough to keep the world still. Because I knew something she didn't, and for now, I wanted it that way. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't react. I would observe, and when the time was right, I'd act. For the next few days, I pretended nothing happened. Same routines, same morning coffee, same goodbye kiss at the door. If Clara noticed anything different about me, she didn't show it. She laughed at my jokes, texted me random memes during work hours, played the same old playlist when cooking dinner. It was almost convincing. Almost. But once you've seen the truth, you start hearing the lies in everything. That week I started watching. Not in a paranoid way, but like someone studying a film frame by frame. She'd say she was heading to bed early, yet her phone would buzz under the pillow minutes later. She'd take her laptop to the living room for work, but the soft glow from the screen reflected faces that weren't mine in video calls. Sometimes she'd smile at messages that made her eyes soften, a kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. I didn't question her. I just noted the patterns. I became patient, deliberate. There's a strange power in silence. It gives you time to see who people really are. On Thursday evening, I told her I had a business meeting Friday night. She barely looked up from her phone. "Okay, that works out," she said casually. "Evan wants to go over campaign edits after work anyway." She said it like she was reciting a line she'd rehearsed, and that was all the confirmation I needed. That night, after she slept, I sat on the couch with my laptop open. I wasn't stalking her, I was documenting the truth. I pulled up our shared calendar, our text logs, even credit card statements. I didn't want to imagine betrayal. I wanted to see it. Friday came faster than I expected. Clara wore her favorite gray dress, the one she usually saved for special occasions. When I asked if she was nervous about her meeting, she smiled in a way that made my chest tighten. "Not really," she said. "It's just work," and she kissed my cheek, quick and soft, like a punctuation mark to a sentence she didn't want me to read. As soon as she left, I got in my car, but not to follow her directly. Instead, I drove across town to the small cafe where my friend Lucas worked. Lucas wasn't just a friend. He was Clara's coworker from 2 years ago, before she switched apartments. He knew most of her team, including Evan. When I told him what I'd seen, his face changed. He didn't look surprised, just disappointed. I've seen them together a few times, he admitted quietly. At the Haven Lounge, every other Friday, same corner booth. My stomach sank. That was tonight. He hesitated before adding, she told everyone you were out of town on Fridays. That's why they're comfortable. I sat there for a moment, letting his words settle. Then I smiled, not out of amusement, but clarity. Because now I had something she didn't know, knowledge and timing. I thanked Lucas and left. The drive home felt unreal, like I was inside someone else's story, but the calm never left me. By evening I was dressed, not for my business meeting but for a quiet night of truth. I didn't plan to shout. I didn't plan to fight. I just wanted her to see what betrayal looked like from the outside. As I buttoned my shirt, my reflection in the mirror looked back at me, steady, composed, almost detached. That's when I realized something. I wasn't doing this out of revenge. I was doing it to end the pretending, because sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's preparation. And by the time she walked into the Haven Lounge that night, I was already there, waiting. The Haven Lounge was dimly lit, the kind of place where secrets feel safe. Low jazz, amber light over every table. I arrived an hour before Clara. The waiter, an older man with kind eyes, recognized me from before and led me to a corner booth facing the entrance. I wasn't there to make a scene. I was there to let truth walk in on its own. At 7:30 sharp, Clara stepped through the door. She wore that gray dress again, the one that used to be our anniversary outfit. Her hair was loosely tied back, like she'd put in effort but wanted it to look effortless. Behind her, Evan followed, smiling too comfortably for a man who wasn't her husband. They didn't see me at first. They went straight to their usual booth, exactly where Lucas said they would. I watched for a few moments, their laughter, the soft touch across the table, the way she leaned in, forgetting the world, and then quietly, I stood. No drama, no raised voice, just slow measured steps. When she finally looked up and our eyes met, her smile froze halfway. The color drained from her face. Evan turned, confused, then realized who I was. Clara, I said evenly, I didn't mean to interrupt your meeting. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The waiter, sensing tension, hesitated nearby, but I gave a small shake of my head. There was no scene to make. I placed something on the table, a small velvet box. Inside was the necklace she'd ordered for our daughter. The package finally arrived, I said. You left the receipt open on your phone. Silence, the kind that hums in your ears. I thought you might want to give it to her yourself, I added softly. Then I turned to leave. No accusations, no explanations, just the truth sitting there, in plain sight, between the three of us. As I walked toward the exit, I heard the clatter of a glass tipping over, a quick gasp, then nothing but the murmur of the lounge resuming. Outside, the evening air was cool and sharp, like it had been waiting for me. I didn't look back, because some stories don't need an ending, they just need an exit. The drive home was quiet. Streetlights slid across the windshield like slow-moving stars, each one flickering over a face I barely recognized, my own. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't even feel angry anymore. Just emptied, the way a room sounds after a long argument. Quiet, but changed forever. At home, the house looked exactly the same. The mug she'd left in the sink, our daughter's drawing pinned crookedly to the fridge, the faint smell of Clara's perfume still hanging in the hallway. I sat at the kitchen table and turned the little velvet box over in my hand. The necklace caught the light, soft and gold, still beautiful, still innocent of everything it had witnessed. For a moment I imagined her coming home, explanations tumbling out, tears, apologies, promises, but I realized I didn't need them. The truth had already spoken louder than any words could. When I finally went upstairs, I didn't take the necklace with me. I left it on the table where morning sunlight would find it, a small, silent reminder that honesty costs less than deceit. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the clock tick. It sounded different now, slower, calmer, almost forgiving. I wasn't sure what tomorrow would look like, but I knew one thing for certain. Sometimes peace doesn't come from fixing what's broken. It comes from walking away quietly, before the noise begins again, and as I closed my eyes, a single thought settled in my mind. I didn't lose her that night. She lost the version of me that still believed her. The morning after the lounge, Clara didn't come home. Her absence said more than any confession could. By noon, I'd already called my sister to pick up our daughter for the weekend. I needed quiet, not to think, but to breathe. 3 days later, she showed up, eyes swollen, voice trembling. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It just happened." I listened. Not because I wanted to reconcile, but because I needed to hear how far the truth had fallen. When she finished, I nodded once and slid an envelope across the table. Inside was the first draft of the divorce petition. No screaming, no bargaining, just signatures waiting for ink. We agreed on shared custody, sold the house within a month, and divided everything with the same politeness we once used to host dinner parties. It was strange how civility could exist where love had died. The paperwork took 6 weeks to finalize. Every appointment at the lawyer's office felt like closing a door, soft, deliberate, final. When the last signature dried, I walked out into the sunlight feeling something I hadn't felt in months: stillness. People imagine divorce as an explosion, but for me it was a quiet sunset. The light faded, the air cooled, and I finally stopped waiting for the next lie. Now, months later, Clara and I talk only about our daughter. Our conversations are brief, careful, almost professional. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of who we used to be, but it passes like a shadow over water. I'm learning that endings aren't punishments, they're permissions. To heal, to rest, to begin again without apology. And when I see the necklace around my daughter's neck, I no longer think of betrayal. I think of resilience, of the night I chose peace over chaos and truth over pretending.